Welcome back to another episode of the Any Given Day podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be going over some local news for me and Hunter, some more roster movement chaos, some massive coaching changes, a new segment we like to call Yeet or No Yeet, and yet another NCAA investigation. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another exciting episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Any Given Day podcast. We are going to start off today with a more somber moment, but we're going to have a moment of silence for Q, better known as Uga 10. He passed away about, 5 days ago? So
feels like almost a week at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right.
So, the only reason we really had a moment of silence for him is we've been open about this. We're Georgia fans. We're trying to be as unbiased as possible when we do this, but that dog is an icon in this state that we live in. Ain't no way around it. You know, that dog has lived a better life than I have, than you have, than a good chunk of people in this state have, in the world have, if we're being honest. So, yeah, you know, damn good dog is what it is. But now off the somber news into some more other news. I'm wearing this shirt specifically because as of yesterday, Sanford Stadium has announced, along with the University of Georgia, obviously, they're going to be selling beer during games now, as of starting this season, 2024. Which, realistically, I'm surprised that hasn't been a thing. And I'm surprised it's not a thing at all college stadiums, because at most college football games, you want a raucous home environment. You know, you want one that's loud. You know, basically, you want loud, drunk fans to go and get into the opposing team's head. And so I'm surprised that hasn't been a thing for a while. Lord knows, you know, you've had people who are Georgia fans that will bark while stone cold sober at other human beings. What do you think they're going to do when they're drunk?
Yeah.
So,
you ain't kidding. I think part of the reason why they haven't up to this point is obviously being on a college campus. Not everybody, especially enrolled at the school, is 21. So it's just kind of one of those, you know, it's a slippery slope. But then again, you go to pro football games and
yeah,
the majority are probably not 21 anyways. So,
like,
in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. It's more money for the school. So
every sporting event I've been to where, you know, you can go and get a beer, they've always asked me for my ID. So, like, I just...
I mean, it's not like you're going to get beer if you're under 21.
It's just like, hey, yeah, here's the ID. Oh, hey, you're old enough.
Right. So I mean, I agree. I mean, it's not like it's a... I don't know why everybody doesn't do it, because it's extra money for your school. So you might as well do it. But, you know, we're slowly getting there. More and more schools are starting to do it. So,
look, all I know is I won't have to sneak in some shooters next time I go to a Georgia game, a Georgia home game. So I'm let's go. I'm happy.
Right. Moving on next to our next segment, we get some roster movement chaos, but not really. It's pretty tame news. Will Rogers has removed his name from the transfer portal and will remain at Washington. I mean, where else was he going to go? I guess he might have tried to go to Alabama, but that obviously didn't work out. So
The reaction from Tide fans had he got there and
the
been named the
chaos,
starter over
the
Jalen Milroe.
chaos.
Holy crap.
That might have been some anemic coaching, to be honest with you.
Jalen Milroe's a starter until further notice, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
As good of an X's and O's guy as Kalen DeBoer is, he should be able to find a way to utilize him in his offense, change his offense around to go and suit him a bit. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. To stay on Bama, Ryan Williams has recommitted to Bama. 5-star wide receiver. Obviously decommitted after Saban retired. Has decided to recommit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely a big win for Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, huge win. Huge win.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, I know I think he took an official visit again. After DeBoer was announced as the new head coach after he had decommitted. And I think he decommitted just so he could be like, hey, I'm going to keep all options open. Like, I'm not like. But now, as far as Bama is concerned, you got a guy. You got a 5-star. You got one of the top wide receivers in this class. He probably got sat down by DeBoer and was like, hey, look at what I did with Romo Dunze, Jalen Polk, and McMillan. You know, you're good in this offense, buddy.
Right. I agree.
So there was never any. If DeBoer was worth his salt, there was never going to be any real worry about this. The only worry as a Bama fan that you would have is that he was committed to Saban over Alabama, which I think he was at first, and now I think he's just like, well, I still like the facilities, and this guy looks like he knows what he's doing when it comes to coaching receivers, so let's go.
Right. I agree. Moving on to the next segment, the news. Jim Harbaugh, obviously the big news, taking the head coaching job for the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, this Saban chaos theory continues really here.
Yeah.
Stuff's just getting crazy around college football.
Saban chaos theory number 3. Rise of Sherrone Moore, who's been named the new Michigan head coach.
That's definitely a pick. I mean,
it's a weird pick. I say it's weird because personally, I don't know after how he coached the Michigan-Ohio State game if I would actually want him as my head coach. Because he was coaching not to lose that game. He wasn't coaching to win. He was coaching not to lose. And who knows, maybe everything is changed now. Maybe now that he is legit the head coach, they're like, okay. Like, he's like, okay, I can do this. And something clicks, right? But I'm kind of scared of the play calling. On the other hand, though, it's like, this is a guy, they're keeping the culture there. You're hiring from within. Hell of an O-line coach. From what I've heard. You know, so I think it was a smart hire. I think it was also a safe hire. So they keep the culture. Now, granted, you also have to deal with Harbaugh poaching from the staff. He's already taken the head strength and conditioning coach over to the Chargers with him, and I wouldn't be shocked if they've lost more coaches to go to the Chargers with him. I think he's taken a defensive coach or two as well. So, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked. That's going to be Sherrone Moore's first big test, is how he's going to handle his staff getting poached.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hate the hire. He seems like they just went with the safe pick. I mean, you could have went and got Chip Kelly. You could have went and got somebody, but you stick with Sherrone Moore. I get, like I said, being the safe pick. You keep the culture the same. But with the problems that they've had this year with investigations and whatnot that still aren't closed, do you really want to keep the same culture? Is really my question, because you don't even know. And that might be a reason why they had to go with Sherrone more. Maybe nobody wants to touch Michigan right now because everything's up in the air over there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Chip Kelly and you take this Michigan job and then a couple months from now, you lose a bunch of scholarships and you lose this and you lose that, and now you're
And you get
handicapped
like
for
a
the
1-year
next 4
postseason
years.
ban or something like that.
Yeah, like you're just handicapped at that point. So maybe they didn't really have an option other than Sherrone Moore. I just don't love the hire. It seems like such a step down from Jim Harbaugh to Sherrone Moore, especially with what was out there.
Yeah,
But
I get it. I do. You know, it's kind of like hiring Dan Quinn as your head coach. Oh wait, the Commanders just did that.
yeah. Ugh. Speaking of another coaching hire that I don't like, though, God, Alex Grinch has been hired as the defensive coordinator for Wisconsin. Why? You just seen what happened with USC. And Lincoln Riley, who has protected this man like he was his own son for so long, finally went, you know what? Forget it. You're gone. And Wisconsin goes, oh, we'll take him. What? That is the worst defensive coordinator in college football, in my humble opinion.
I want to throw this out there real quick. I'm willing to give him a shot, right? I'm willing to give him 2 years at Wisconsin. Solely to see if it was a Grinch problem or if Lincoln Riley just sucked at recruiting actual defensive talent.
It's possible, but
we don't know. That's just it. But you also can't make the argument that the defense is with, now granted, he was defense coordinator over at Oklahoma while Riley was there. He was defense coordinator over at USC while Riley was there. So, like I said, I'm willing to see what Alex Grinch does under a different head coach to see if that was a Riley problem or if Grinch is actually that bad of a play caller. Because I like Fickle as a head coach better than I do Riley.
I agree, but I mean, when you look at it, right? I mean, Lincoln Riley went and got Bear Alexander from Georgia, who's a stud. Might have a attitude problem. We don't spread rumors here. It's all rumors. But he might have attitude problems, but kid's a stud defensively on the field.
We'll just wait for that. And agreed, he is a stud on the field, but when it comes to that rumors thing, we'll just wait till that that interview with Cedric Van Pran, Ranger, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe one day he'll spill the beans on what supposedly happened in the weight room that day.
Right. It just like I said, though, I mean, Lincoln Riley's gotten dudes like that before. So, I mean, that's the only dude he's gotten. But his time, hell, that defense had Corey Foreman, who was #1 player coming out of high school. You had Bear Alexander, who was one of the top players coming out of high school. I mean, it had talent on that defense. I mean, they had Damani Jackson, one of the top corners coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there was no development. Yeah, now they're all gone. But it's like there was no development. But again, is that an Alex Grinch not developing them? Is that overall just the program not developing? Who knows? But I just think Alex Grinch isn't a good defensive coordinator. But, I mean, we can give him a couple years. I give him 1 year, really. I mean, if Wisconsin's defense is as bad as USC's was this year,
So the whole thing is they're probably fixing to go through a style change, right? Like that defensive front's probably going to get changed from how they're used to.
That's true.
Possibly. I don't know what Wisconsin has run over the past few years.
I don't know.
And I don't know what Grinch runs either, because I didn't want to watch any USC games to see what front that defense was.
I can tell you what Grinch runs. It's called awful,
Oh
right?
no.
It's called awful, all right?
Called
Whatever, and it
awful. Oh,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He can run whatever he wants. It's awful. It's what it was at USC. It doesn't matter. He could be running 3-4, 4-3, 3-2, 4-2-5, 3-3-5. It didn't matter. He was awful.
yeah.
So maybe he'll be good
Knows.
at Wisconsin. Maybe it was Lincoln Riley's fault, but
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah, we will see. All right. Next up, a new segment,
Oh.
working title, but as of right now, called Hot or Cold. All right. I got 4 things for you. I'm going to read them off. If you think it's going to happen, it's really likely it's going to happen. It's hot. All right. You think no chance, it's cold. All right.
Okay.
You with me?
Okay.
All right.
Yeet or no
Number
yeet?
1, yeet or no yeet. I like it. All right. Number 1, Iowa will average over 21 points a game this year.
Oh God, you're throwing one out like immediately. Oh damn. No yeet. I don't trust. No yeet. No yeet. Just that they don't have any offensive players. They've slightly improved the OC position, but like it isn't that much better.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I agree. I don't think that they'll average over 21 points a game this year. If they can start getting some dudes in there, maybe eventually, but next year, probably not. Now, I gave you a layup on the first one, okay?
Oh no. Oh
The
no.
next 3 are going to be a little bit more difficult. Number 2, Billy Napier will be fired before the season is over.
No yeet.
No, you don't think so?
No yeet. No, that one was simpler than the other one. They gotta go and get through the entire season to see how everything goes.
That's fair.
If he gets back to a bowl game, I think that buys him another year. I'd be shocked if they let him go if he gets to a bowl game this year. So, and they've got the talent to be able to do that, to sneak into a bowl game. So, no yeet. I don't think he gets fired mid-season.
I see what you're saying. To play devil's advocate, though, if he doesn't make a bowl game this year, oof. All right, it's gonna be a big oof. If we're 3/4 of the way through the season and they got 3 wins or 2 wins, oof.
Now,
I
here's
have,
the
I have no
argument.
idea what their schedule is, so I have no idea how hard it is.
Here's the argument I'll say, right? If they get 3/4 of the way through the season and they've only got 2 or 3 wins, there's only one viable way he keeps his job till at least the end of the season.
One of those wins is against Georgia.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
only viable way.
Yeah.
And who knows, that might buy him an extra year because, hey, we beat Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it at Georgia for years with Mark Richt. He would, consistent 10-win seasons. No hate on Mark Richt. I grew up watching him. He was my favorite coach. Obviously, I grew up watching him for the majority of my life.
Yeah, me too.
But, he was that always 10 wins, so close, but always had that 1 or 2 slip-ups every year, and it always bought him another year. He'd pull out a win against somebody he shouldn't have, and it'd always buy him another year.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How different is everything if Georgia beats Alabama in 2012?
Mark Richt is viewed completely differently.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirby Smart probably isn't the head coach at Georgia because Mark Richt would have
probably got
at that point you got the extension, probably ended up becoming the savior, really. What Georgia fans feel about Kirby Smart now, they would have felt that way about Mark Richt.
Yeah.
And
because I think anyone with a pulse, besides Notre Dame fans, will admit that the national championship game that year was in the SEC championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Because with how bad Notre Dame got mollywopped by Alabama.
Yeah, that was the national championship that year. But yeah, it is what it is.
Next topic, or not next topic?
Next one.
Yeah.
Number 3, Texas will be in the SEC championship this year. Mm-hmm. Told you it got harder.
Yeah, that one is hard because. Okay. I think they make the playoffs this year for sure. It's just
not the question.
It really is just how much of a step back does Texas take with the loss of Xavier Worthy and AD Mitchell. I think they've also lost Jatavian Sanders as well.